Hello everyone, Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons are being remade in HD using the Link's Awakening HD engine and releasing as a dual collection on Nintendo Switch for the 35th anniversary. At least, that is what a lot of rumors suggest. However, I disagree. We actually have a lot of evidence for debunking this rumor as well, which is actually good news concerning Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask HD. Don't get me wrong, I actually love the Oracle games and would be incredibly happy to see a collection, or even an HD collection of Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. But maybe I'll make a video discussing that rumor in a future video. Really quick, as a thank you to all of you and your support, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch, Skyward Sword HD, the new Zelda Joy-Cons, Nintendo eShop cards or gift cards, Game Over Jesse shirts, amiibo, games, and more to celebrate on our way to 100,000 subscribers. We just passed 95,000 subscribers, and we're getting close to 96,000, which means it's time to announce our first 3 giveaway winners. And more winner announcements will be coming very soon. Our first winner and all of the details will be at the end of this video. To enter, make sure you are subscribed, then comment below what you're most excited about for Breath of the Wild 2, Skyward Sword HD, or leave your thoughts on this video after watching it. If you want to be really nice and make it easier for us to contact you if you win, give us a follow on Twitter, Instagram, or join our Zelda Discord. Again, thank you all. While the Oracle games could currently be in development for Nintendo Switch, I don't think they were the games Grezzo had been working on, and I don't think Grezzo would have reused the Link's Awakening engine, which was actually Unreal Engine 4. In fact, it seems they are moving away from that entirely. I don't mean to break any hearts, the games are amazing, unique, and each were developed for specific sides of the Zelda fanbase. You see, one was created with a focus on puzzles, dungeons, and problem solving, while the other had a stronger focus on combat and boss fights. This doesn't mean one would have amazing puzzles and dungeons while it had bad combat or boss battles. Not at all, just that each would feel different. So about those remake rumors. Link's Awakening was made for Game Boy and ported to or remastered for Game Boy Color as Link's Awakening DX. The 2 Oracle games were developed by Capcom specifically for the Game Boy Color, but look almost identical to Link's Awakening. So, naturally, a lot of Zelda fans expected the Oracle games to receive the same treatment from Nintendo, and they would have Grezzo reuse the Link's Awakening engine and quickly remake the Oracle games. And that actually sounds like a great idea. While I do think the Oracle games will be remade and could be in production right now, the facts and evidence we have make me believe Grezzo hasn't, but it could possibly be the game Grezzo was recently hiring for, or Nintendo could have one of their many other Zelda development teams to have been working on them. Let's quickly answer why I do not believe the Oracle games will simply be reusing Link's Awakening's engine for a quick remake, as so many people are saying. When Grezzo first began hiring for Link's Awakening, they said they were looking for people experienced in Unreal Engine 4 and Unity. They had not decided on which to use. At the time, Nintendo had been working on Yoshi's Crafted World using Unreal Engine 4, and had been heavily promoting how their developers had perfected and mastered the engine. As stated in a previous video, I've spoken to some of my friends who are actual developers and experienced in both engines, and they even state Unreal Engine 4 is usually the easier engine to learn and develop for, which is why so many games use it. However, that ease of use comes with a higher cost of processing power. And now, Nintendo themselves recommend for others to use Unity when developing for the Nintendo Switch, a complete turnaround from how much they were getting behind Unreal Engine 4. Now, over 30% of all Nintendo Switch games are developed using Unity. Link's Awakening was shown off at E3. My podcast team and I were lucky enough to attend and play the beta version available. A lot of websites and fans reported on frame rate dips and other issues the game had with hopes it would be fixed before release. However, a lot of reviews mentioned the same issues were only slightly better, if at all, meaning after Nintendo and Grezzo were made aware of the fan feedback and concerns, they still weren't able to get Link's Awakening running properly on the Nintendo Switch. And if you look at it, honestly, it doesn't seem like it's that complicated of a game, especially compared to Breath of the Wild. Now, we have Grezzo once again hiring for a Zelda game in an almost identical way. The one difference? It has no mention of Unreal Engine 4, only Unity, meaning Grezzo, now more experienced with the Nintendo Switch and aware of the technical issues they had with Unreal Engine 4, decided to completely start over on a new engine, Unity, despite already being experienced with working on Unreal Engine 4 for a Zelda game on Switch, and having a version of Unreal Engine 4 and assets specifically tooled for 2D Zelda games. Despite Unity taking longer to learn and develop for, most agree for Switch specifically, it is the better option. If Grezzo is developing the Oracle games, it seems like they would not be reusing the Link's Awakening engine, and instead be using Unity as Nintendo now recommends. However, just as Unreal Engine 4 has incredibly realistic games, very cartoony games, 2D fighting games, huge adventure games, and everything in between, it is a common misconception that two games using the same engine have to look the same. You can easily make two games created using completely different engines look identical. So if you loved Link's Awakening's art style and are afraid the potential Oracle remakes will look different, they could still easily share the same art style, except in Unity, they may have a better chance of not having those same technical issues. Now, why wouldn't Nintendo want to remake and release the Oracle games at this time? And why would they not release them as a two-game collection or bundle? Well, I have several reasons. 1. Each Oracle game individually contains more content and larger worlds than Link's Awakening. Link's Awakening's HD remake released at a full $60 price, though it did have a dungeon maker added. With the Oracle games being slightly more complex and each individual game having more overall content than Link's Awakening, it would be a very bad business decision for them to bundle both games together for the same price as a smaller game. 2. Yes, a lot of fans are hoping the Oracle games are the next remakes to be announced. However, that is a tiny number compared to the amount of people asking for Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask to be remade in HD, and it would be an infinitely better business decision for Nintendo to first remake Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask in HD. Yes, the Oracle games could reuse the Link's Awakening engine as mentioned earlier. However, all of the dungeons, characters, bosses, story, and everything, basically both entire games, would still need to be created using that engine. With Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, Grezzo, who developed the original remakes, would still have everything needed to quickly remake the games. All of the original textures and assets would likely have already been originally made in HD and just scaled down to 240p for the 3DS. Grezzo is already known for very quickly taking 3DS games and putting them on HD consoles, like the PS4 and Nintendo Switch, which is literally what they just did for Miitopia. While they would likely add and change a few things, such as amiibo support and possibly a new dungeon if we were lucky, similar to Nintendo wanting Tantalus to add a new special bonus dungeon to Twilight Princess HD, all of this would take less than half or even a quarter of the time it would take to reuse Link's Awakening's engine and develop the entirety of just one of the Oracle games. So in the end, not only would Ocarina of Time save on cost and development time by only taking half the time, if not even less, it would also end up selling 3 or 4 times as many copies. The crazy thing is, this would still be true if Ocarina of Time was a full $60 game, with absolutely no changes, aside from just being remastered in HD. And both Oracle games were only $40. Based off the popularity of the name alone, Ocarina of Time HD would dominate. Majora's Mask 3D sold a little more than half of what Ocarina of Time 3D sold. However, it did release over 3 or 4 years later when the 3DS was already flooded with several other Zelda games, so it would likely sell even more than half. But even if the same rules applied and Majora's Mask HD sold half of what Ocarina of Time HD does at $60, Majora's Mask would still likely sell more copies than an Oracle collection at just $40. It would take more money, less time, please more fans, and sell more actual Nintendo Switch consoles than the Oracle games. This is why I believe Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask HD would be coming before the Oracle games, and are even the games Grezzo has been working on for the past 2 years alongside Miitopia. However, I still strongly believe we will get the Oracle games remade. It just may not be as soon as fans are hoping, or in the same engine as rumors suggest. Although remember, just because it's in a completely different engine doesn't mean it has to look different. It can still look exactly the same, and vice versa. If they did remake the games using the exact same engine, there's a chance it would still look completely different than the Link's Awakening remake. A quick example, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and Skyward Sword all used the exact same engine, just modified for those specific games. It seems more likely Nintendo would quickly remaster or remake Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask in HD for Switch, as it really wouldn't take that long at all to do both of them. They would make a lot more money, and that profit could then be used to fund the development of the Oracle games, which would take a lot longer. Thank you to everyone who stayed until the end of our video, and a special thank you to our amazing Patreon supporters. For those interested in the giveaway, yes, we reached 95,000 subscribers, so it's time to pick the first 3 giveaway winners. But we will be having more giveaways for every 1,000 new subscribers until we reach our big giveaway at 100,000 subscribers. Our big 100,000 subscriber giveaway will be your choice of 1. A Nintendo Switch, 2. Skyward Sword HD with Skyward Sword themed Joy-Cons, an amiibo, and a custom Zelda art piece by a good friend of mine. 3. A Nintendo eShop or gift card of equal value. Our first winner of the $60 eShop card is Alex Elder Gaming, who commented, "I'm excited for Breath of the Wild 2 and the return of Temples. The giveaway is great, and I'm happy I found your channel and podcast. Good luck, everyone." Congratulations, Alex. I also hope Breath of the Wild 2 brings back traditional themed dungeons or temples with traditional dungeon items and boss fights, but keeps a lot of the smaller dungeons or shrines to flesh out the overworld, caves, or other areas. If you see this, please send a message on Twitter, Discord, Instagram, our Facebook page, or wherever you can. I will also be messaging you here on YouTube to send you the $60 eShop code. As for the other 2 winners, I'm going to let my co-hosts Daniel, Chiblima, and the Geek Apprentice decide, and they will be announced live on our next episode of the Hylian Gamescast, our Zelda podcast that is usually live every weekend. If we reach 96,000 or even 97,000 subscribers before this weekend, as we're already getting really close, we will announce the winners for those giveaways in a video on the following day, after passing their respective subscriber goals.